Ang amin talagang goal ay gumawa ng mga bagong molecules. Pwede ka kasing makakuha ng bagong molecules. Yun nga, galing sa mga marine organisms, pwede sa plants. Pero minsan, hindi lahat ng molecules kasi ay makukuha mo using yung traditional purification. Dito sa paper na to, ang gusto namin gawin, actually hindi kami humawak ng organismo. Ang ginawa namin ay tiningnan namin yung genome niya at gumawa kami ng kawangis or katulad na molecule noong predicted na molecule galing dun sa organism. Nag-screen kami, nag-test kami for cytotoxicity. Yun yung usually kasi na nakikita natin from literature. Cyanobacteria can be very potent producers of potential anti-cancer compounds. In fact, ngayon meron ng mga cyanobacteria molecules or inspired from cyanobacteria molecules that's actually used for cancer therapy.
Sa tuwing nagbabasa kayo ng mga research papers, nagtataka din ba kayo kung paano ito naisipan gawin ng mga researchers? Paano nila na-transform ang idea nila para maging isang actual na research project? Saan sila kumuha ng funding para magawa to? Paano nila nalaman na ang results nila ay pwede na nilang ipasa for publication? Dito, sa Behind the Science podcast, ay kakausapin natin ang ating mga Pinoy scientists para ibahagi hindi lang ang mga resulta ng kanilang pag-aaral, kundi pati na rin ang mga behind the scenes or behind the science stories nito. Simula sa kung paano nila ito naisipan gawin hanggang sa na-publish na nila ito. So this podcast is in partnership with the UP Resilience Institute, the Philippine Agricultural Scientist, the Philippine Journal of Fisheries, and SciEngJ. So ang UP Resilience Institute ay long-time partners na namin dito sa podcast. Nung nagsisimula pa lang kami, nandyan na sila para tumulong sa amin. At para lang sa kaalaman ng lahat, ako ngayon ay isang UPRI Research Fellow. The Philippine Agricultural Scientist is the first international journal in the Philippines and Southeast Asia in the field of agriculture. It is published by the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, College of Agriculture and Food Science. It publishes articles in the fields of tropical agricultural science and related areas including environmental science, food science, engineering, biotechnology, economics, rural sociology, development communication, agroforestry and silviculture, and marine and fishery science. The Philippine Journal of Fisheries is the official publication of the Department of Agriculture, National Fisheries Research and Development Institute. It covers all aspects of fisheries, both in basic and applied sciences, as well as related fields of studies such as capture fisheries, aquaculture, post-harvest technology, marketing and industry, ecology, oceanography, conservation, biotechnology, food safety, socioeconomics, and systematics in freshwater, estuarine, marine, and other identifiable water habitats. SciEngJ, formerly known as the Philippine Science Letters, is the official journal of the Philippine American Academy of Science and Engineering. It covers studies in the natural, physical, mathematical, computational, and social sciences, including those related to agriculture, health, engineering, environment, education, and technology. So kung may paper kayong gustong i-publish at pasok ito sa scope ng mga journals na ito, please consider submitting to one of them. At syempre importante, take note na hindi kayo pwede mag-submit ng sabay-sabay sa 3 journals na ito. Kasi bawal yon. Dapat sa isang journal muna kayo mag-submit. At ang mga journals na to ay index na rin sa Web of Science, Scopus, ASEAN Citation Index, and sa Imago Journal Ranking. Kaya masisiguro nyo dito ang mataas na standard at mabusisi na review process para masiguro ang high quality papers na pinapublish. So if you're interested in publishing your research in one of these journals, check nyo ang guidelines at ang links ay nasa description. Magandang araw mga kapwa siyentista at welcome sa isa na namang episode ng Behind the Science podcast. Our guest is a professor and the Deputy Director for Instruction of the UP Diliman Marine Science Institute. She is also a Scientist 1 under the UP Scientific Productivity System. She obtained her bachelor's and master's degree in chemistry from UP Diliman and a PhD in pharmaceutical sciences from the University of Florida. Her research interests are on marine natural products purification, structure elucidation, and biological activity assessment. She was awarded the 2012
Klimer Prize from the American Society of Pharmacognosy and the American Pharmaceutical Association, the 2019 Outstanding Young Scientist from the National Academy of Science and Technology, and the 2023 Outstanding Achievement Award for Chemical Research from the Philippine Federation of Chemical Societies. So without further ado, let's all welcome Dr. Lilibeth Salvador Reyes.
Magandang hapon at maulang hapon din sa lahat. Salamat, Paul, for the introduction.
Ayun, bago pala tayo magsimula, sa lahat ng nakikinig, nanonood, kung first time nyo man dito, or sa mga long time followers namin dyan na hindi pa nakasubscribe, kung nag-enjoy kayo sa podcast at gusto nyo ang ginagawa namin dito, paki-like naman ang episode na ito at mag-subscribe na rin kayo sa mga social media platforms ng Behind the Science Podcast. So makikita nyo kami sa Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Facebook. So ayun, ang topic natin today, isa itong paper na na-publish ni Ma'am Lil sa SciEngJ. And in fact, special issue siya on marine natural products.
Yes.
Na special issue. Yung general idea niya, di ba ma'am, yung paggawa ng laboratory version ng mga molecules or compounds na nakikita sa nature.
Yes, tama ka. So, ang amin talagang goal ay gumawa ng mga bagong molecules. Pwede ka kasing makakuha ng bagong molecules. Yun nga, galing sa mga marine organisms, pwede sa plants. Pero minsan, hindi lahat ng molecules kasi ay makukuha mo using yung traditional purification. So, dito sa paper na to, ang gusto namin gawin, actually hindi kami humawak ng organismo. Ang ginawa namin ay tiningnan namin yung genome niya at gumawa kami ng kawangis or katulad na molecule noong nandoon or predicted na molecule galing dun sa organism.
Ayun. So, mamaya pag-uusapan natin yun in more detail. Pero bago natin yun puntahan, mas kilalanin muna natin si Ma'am Lil. Actually, sabi ni Ma'am Lil kanina, wag ko na daw siyang tawagin na ma'am, pero hindi ako sanay as a former RA sa UPMSI student. First question po namin dito palagi, kailan niyo po na-realize na gusto niyo magtrabaho sa science sector?
Di nung ako'y mag-uupkat na, diba? Doon ko lang na-realize. Syempre, hindi mo naman, as batang-bata ka pa, parang I don't have my life planned out then. So, nung mag-uupkat na ako, syempre, yan na yung dilemma. Ano bang pipiliin kong course? Gusto ko bang mag-physics? Definitely no. The answer is no. Gusto ko bang mag-bio? Pwede, pero siguro pag bio ako, I would have to go to med. Parang yun yung yun yung parang expectation. Pag bio ka, magme-med ka. Sabi ko, hindi pa ako solve sa pag-med. Kung magme-med ako, tapos syempre it takes, financial resources also. Sabi ko, mag-chem na lang kaya ako. And then, kasi pag chem ako, sabi ko, pwede ako mag-work sa industry. Kasi pharmaceutical, dun sa mga factory, pwedeng nasa QA ka or sa production, R&D. Pwede din akong magturo. Pwede din akong mag-med. Pwede kasi siyang pre-med. So, sabi ko, parang may versatility doon sa pwede kong puntahan. Kasi hindi pa nga talaga ako, hindi ko naman talaga alam at 16, di ba? Parang, the whole world is still in front of me. Mas gusto ko lang na medyo madami akong pwedeng choices later on after I finish college. And then at the same time, it also helped that I have a really good teacher in chemistry. And also that teacher inspired me to take, to go to chemistry kasi parang terror teacher siya, number 1. Number 2, mahirap yung chem, di ba? So, bentahe kapag I can actually be good at chem. And the teacher also inspired me. Dinala niya kami sa PNRI. Growing up in Quezon City, born and bred ako sa Quezon City. So, nung bata ako, nakikita ko yung itlog ng PNRI. If you know the itlog of PNRI. Wala pang building sa Commonwealth Avenue noon. So, it's standing there majestically, the big white egg of PNRI. Sabi ko, ano kayong nandoon? And then, eventually, I think it was 95 or 96, we had a field trip there nakapasok kami dun sa mismong reactor ng PNRI. And yung amazement ko ba, talaga, parang, okay, sabi ko, kaya ko siguro tong gawin. Pag nasa college na ako and eventually mag-graduate ako, I can be in chemistry. So, merong confidence booster from your teacher ng high school. Malaking influence yun. Aside from yun nga, nakita ko na parang versatile yung field. So, habang yung mga kaklase mo ay naghihirap sa chemistry, syempre, di ba? Confidence boosters yon. So, as a high school student, I think malaking influensya yung merong nagbi-build ng confidence mo. And also, okay lang yung hindi mo pa alam lahat kung anong gagawin mo eventually. But, you have choices and that also helps.
Speaking of PNRI pala, may naging previous guest na rin kami dito sa PNRI. For anyone interested, naging guest namin dito previously si Dr. Angel Bautista. Nakalimutan kong episode number. Pero ang naging topic doon ay yung paggamit ng concentrations ng iodine. Nakalimutan ko, iodine 129 yata para i-track yung mga nuclear disaster. Iodine 129 sa corals para i-track yung mga nuclear disasters. Tapos, more recently, si Dr. Carmina Aquino. Tapos, ang naging topic namin ay yung geologic hydrogen sa Zambales as a potential renewable energy source. So, for anyone interested, hanapin nyo na lang sa mga previous videos namin. Ngayon po, ma'am, yung question ko dun sa pag-pursue nyo ng chemistry. Kasi minsan, yung mga tao, sabi nila, natatakot sila i-pursue yung chemistry dahil kailangan mo mag-deal sa mga chemicals. Kayo po, naramdaman nyo ba yung ganong takot
Actually,
before?
Hindi ko naramdaman yun. Alam mo, nung nag-Chem 16 kami, may mga unknown analysis, tapos, inaamoy mo pa. Pag meron siyang sulfur, hydrogen sulfide. Ang lab partner ko nung Chem 16, si PTRI Director Julius Lianyo. So kami, tuwang-tuwa kami mag-amoy ng hydrogen sulfide for unknown analysis. So parang, okay, it comes with the job. I think ang main stigma sa chem, pag sinabing chemistry, yun nga, mahirap. Pero hindi naman. If you get a knack of it, madali na siya. And then, of course, doon sa mga chemicals, meron naman palagi tayo na safety, diba? So, susunod ka lang dun sa safety regulations. Pero of course, yan, may personal protective equipment ka, meron kang lab coat, eye shield, diba? And gloves, of course. Pero of course, your lab gown will always have that mark of, for example, sulfuric acid. Napatakan ng sulfuric acid, but that's the purpose of the lab coat. It protects you. So as long as you have protection and you follow how to handle the chemicals, laging dapat babasahin muna. Kaya dati talaga, kapag before any experiment in chem, ang unang-unang assignment, MSDS, hanapin mo yung material safety data sheet ng lahat ng gagamitin yung mga reagents for the experiment, sa lab experiment. So, yun ang unang-unang assignment ng teacher kasi nga, para informed ka doon sa ano ba yung kakaharapin mong hazard plus ano ba yung kailangan mong gamitin para maiwasan yung mga hazard na yon. So, but it comes with the job and that's the fun of it also.
Speaking of lab coat, naalala ko po nung mga college days, yung mga estudyante, parang once a semester lang nalalaban yung
Actually,
lab gown.
Actually, totoo yan.
Gano'n po ba dapat kadalas na nilalaban yung lab gown?
Actually, kapag dun sa general, kami naman, as long as it's, for our general chemistry lab, as long as hindi naman siya natatapunan ng mga noxious chemicals, okay lang. Ngayon, iba-iba din sa amin when we handle more sterile environment, yon. Weekly, nagki-clean kami kasi nga mayroon yung risk of contamination. Naalala ko pa noon nung college kami, yung ChemSoc, nagpaparent sila ng lab gown. Hindi ko alam kung naabutan nyo pa yan. You can actually rent if nakalimutan mong magdala
parang sa lab yata. Di ba may lab doon na pwedeng mag-register hiram ng mga equipment? Parang doon yata dati.
Nung batch namin ng undergrad, ang UP Chemical Society, di wala kang lab coat, di ba? Hindi ka pwedeng pumasok ng lab class na walang lab coat, hihiram ka sa Chemsoc. Yun.
Pagka-graduate nyo po nung college, nag-pursue po agad kayo ng graduate school or nag-work po muna kayo?
Actually, wala akong pahinga. Right after graduation, ay nagkaroon ng opening dito sa MSI. And I couldn't say no because it's really a good project. And that was my first salvo as an RA. And then my supervisors also, they're very good. So si supervisor ko ay si Dr. Giselle Concepcion and also si Dr. Ami Guevara. They're brilliant biochemists and natural products chemists. So I couldn't say no. Alam mo ba, ang salary ko noon, unang salary ko as SRS2, 11,273. Yun ang SRS2 rate before.
Tapos ngayon, magkano ng SRS2 ngayon? 40K po
Yeah,
ba yung
almost
SRS2
50.
ngayon? Ang laki ng increase. Anong taon yun, ma'am? 11K?
2000. Year 2000. So, hindi ko makakalimutan yun. 11,273, my first salary. And then, so, nag-work ako sa MSI and then also preparing for the board exam and then nag-grad school.
Pero bakit po MS Chemistry yung kinuha nyo, hindi Marine Science na
Alam mo, actually,
masters?
iniisip ko din yan. Kung bakit pa ako hindi nag-MS Marine Science. Pero kasi, during that time, wala pang biotech track. Ano pa lang, if I'm not mistaken, it's just physical sciences and marine biology. So, kasi ang marine biotech was about 2006. Parang around that time. So, nag-MS Chem ako, pero naisip ko yan. Kung hindi ako nag-MS Chem, saan kaya ako napunta? Naisip ko baka napunta ako sa ChemOsh. Kung nag-pursue ako ng MS Marine Science.
Bigla ko tuloy naalala kasi usapang chemistry naman po tayo tapos ChemOsh. Yung pinakamahirap na subject sa akin, yung organic chemistry. Hindi ko talaga siya napasa. 2 beses akong bumagsak sa organic chemistry.
Mahirap ang org chem.
Ano po yung naging favorite chemistry subject niyo?
Ano bang favorite chemistry subject ko? I would say yung analytical chem kasi ang daming kinukuting-ting na mga instrument. Tapos meron kami na, syempre before nung 2000, hindi ganun kadami ang equipment sa UP. It's very different from now. May 2 HPLC sa Institute of Chem, and then isang atomic absorption spectrometer, AAS, UVVs. So, konti lang. So, yung advanced analytical chem namin na lab, yun yung chance mo na mahawakan, makuting-ting lahat ng mga equipment na yan. So, gustong-gusto ko yun. Madaming ginagawa, pero alam mo yun yung real life use ng mga equipment. So, I enjoyed it a lot. Ano yung pinaka hindi ko gusto? Hindi ko pinaka gusto.
Ano po yung least favorite?
Looking at the electronics of the equipment. Kasi may ganun ding class before. Gusto kong gamitin yung instrumento, pero ayokong pag-aralan kung paano yung electronics niya sa loob. Paano siya nag-generate. Paano niya nag-generate yung reading. So for example, you did an injection in HPLC, and then paano mariregister yung signal na yon? Meron ba siyang Fourier transformation and all that? So siya yung electronics of things. I don't like that. I don't like any electronics in general. Kaya ayoko din ng Physics 72.
Baliktad po pala tayo, ma'am. Ako gusto ko yung ganun. Medyo ayoko nung chemistry, nahirapan ako. Tapos nung nag-PhD po kayo, ma'am, pharmaceutical sciences naman yung kinuha nyo. Bakit po yun ang specialization na kinuha nyo?
Yung pharmaceutical sciences, actually, may subspecialization siya, which is medicinal chem. And under medicinal chem, nandun yung natural products chemistry. I think, din siya parang it's it's also serendipity how I ended up there kasi I applied to several schools in the US. And then one day, na-email ako ng supervisor nung aking then supervisor. Alam mo tayong mga Pilipino, mahiyain tayo, 'di ba? We don't normally like send email to I'm applying to your lab. I'm interested. Hindi ako syempre nagpadala ng gano'n na email. So, one day nag-email yung aking potential supervisor. Oh, why did you not contact me? So, parang sabi ko, okay, I think it's a sign. So,
Siya
meron
na
din
yung
siyang
nag-initiate.
serendipity, yes. And I really, because for me, I really like working with natural products. Nandun yung for me yung challenge ng getting the molecule and also identifying the molecule. And you have bragging rights. Pag bago kasi siya, you have bragging rights to name the molecule. So, and then, yung how to determine the structure, it's also parang you're playing with connect the dots, di ba? Pag naglalaro tayo sa Sunday Magazine, for example, meron kang connect the dots and you create a picture. Here, you use NMR, which is like you're connecting electron clouds, nuclei of molecule, until you get that big picture. So, very exciting for me. So, kaya yun talaga yung napili ko na gawin kong specialization.
Ayun. Hindi ko pala na-mention kanina sa audience. So si Ma'am Lil ay siya yung curator ng Marine Natural Products Legacy Collection ng UPMSI. So yung collection ay merong 5,000 marine microorganisms, 6,000 plus extracts and fractions, and more than 100 pure compounds. So can you share din po ano pong ibig sabihin
Okay.
nun?
So, 'di ba? Yung ating mga macroorganisms, yung mga sponges, corals, your snails, they would have microorganisms associated with them. So, ang ginagawa namin ay nagko-culture din kami ng mga microorganisms na nandoon sa ating mga iba-ibang marine organisms. And then, it's a living resource. So, i-freeze namin siya, ika-cryopreserve, and it's there for long-term storage. Okay? So, that's how we preserve one microorganism at a time. And then, the molecules, yung mga nakukolekta naming mga samples, the microorganisms included together with yung mga sponges, for example, we extract them. So, parang in time, we take a snapshot of their chemistry. And yun yung aming nakukuha when we extract them. Pag pumunta ka sa dagat uli, sa parehong dagat uli, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we don't know if we will get that same microorganism, that same sponge, that same snail. So what we're actually doing is preserving or capturing a snapshot of the chemical diversity. Kasi ang mas alam natin or siguro ang mas sanay tayo, kinukuha natin yung or pinipreserve natin yung biodiversity. Right? So, kumukuha tayo ng mga type specimens, holotypes. Yun yung naka-curate sa mga museums. Yun yung sample natin, diba? O, itong, ano na to, for example, cone snail, na-collect siya nitong 19-something from this location. Kami naman, ang kinocurate namin ay yung mga microorganisms na nandun sa kanila plus yung pinoproduce din nilang molecules. Kasi nga hindi natin alam kung makukuha natin yan uli later on. And at the same time, it's also a very good resource to have kasi you can always start with these molecules for biotechnological applications. Kung meron kayong bagong nagawang mga test and you want to look at the potential applications, you can use them. ready na sila. Kailangan mo lang ng assay interface and at the same time, yun nga, if you want to compare, ano bang state nitong organism na ito from now versus 5 years, 10 years from now, you can also do that with the resource that we have, much like what we do for your organisms.
Ayun, so since medyo nabigyan na tayo ni Ma'am Lil nung background nung laboratory nila, oras na para pag-usapan natin yung featured article natin ngayon. So ang title nito ay Synthesis and Biological Evaluation of Cyanobacterial Inspired Peptides. So ma'am, siguro bago ko po itanong yung one sentence na explanation nito, siguro definition of terms po
Okay.
muna tayo. Ano po yung cyanobacteria at peptides?
So cyanobacteria, they're unicellular organisms. They can be free floating or free living. Pwede din silang associated sa mga sa ibang organisms. Pwede din silang filamentous. Mas kilala natin yung cyanobacteria as blue-green algae. So kung napanood niyo yung movie na Chasing Corals, 'di ba namatay yung mga corals dun sa dulo?
Ay, hindi ka napanood yan.
Namatay yung mga corals. Tapos merong mga fuzzy na tumubo sa kanila. Cyanobacteria yon. So they're actually, they're good, they're bad, and they are ugly. Kasi nga, pag na-cover niya yung dying reef, di ba? Para siyang lumot. So, but they're good because they have a lot of chemicals in them, because they're simple organisms but they're very resilient. They can survive in a lot of different types of environments dahil yun dun sa mga chemicals na pinoproduce nila. And they're also bad because sila din yung nagkukos ng ibang mga coral diseases. So, iba-iba yung kanilang roles. So, but they're colloquially known as the blue-green algae. And then peptides. Ano ba ang peptides? Ang peptides ay gawa sa mga amino acids. And for us, ang goal namin ay meron ka lang 8 na amino acids. That's our target. So proteins is a lot bigger, but they have the same building blocks. So they all come from your amino acids.
Ayun, so with that po, can you explain what is your paper all about?
In one sentence, we want to make new chemistry that is based on amino acids, but we don't want to grow or purify from the organism. What we actually did is to look at the genome of the organism, and from there, design a similar group of peptides.
So dito po, kanina may nabanggit kayo ng mga other organisms like yung sponge, yung snail. Pero dito po sa study nyo, nag-focus kayo sa cyanobacteria. So can you share din po why the interest sa cyanobacteria?
Okay. For my PhD, what I did is really on cyanobacteria. Yung kanilang natural products that they produce, no? So, may bias ako. Sasabihin ko yun yung first love ko. Dahil they're really good producers of amino acid-based molecules, mga peptides. And so, nung pagbalik ko dito from my PhD, I wanted to start cyanobacteria work. So, I collaborated with Dr. Ernilea Ka from IB, and also we work with the UPLB, IBS. They have a collection there of cyanobacteria na hindi pa nalalaman yung chemistry. So I went from there, and that was my balik PhD project. So doon siya nagsimula. And so we did the screening. So ano bang potential ng mga cyanobacteria from the Philippines? Kasi noon ang literature lang ng cyanobacteria sa Pilipinas ay all about, are they producers of microcystin? So, toxin producer ba sila or hindi? Yun lang, kawawa naman. Masyadong, bad yung tingin sa kanila kasi yun. Producer din sila ng toxin. So, I wanted to explore more and look at their potential. And so, nag-screen kami, nag-test kami for cytotoxicity. Yun yung usually kasi na nakikita natin from literature. Cyanobacteria are um, can be very, very potent producers of and potential anti-cancer compounds. In fact, ngayon meron ng mga um, cyanobacteria molecules or inspired from cyanobacteria molecules that's actually used for cancer therapy. So, meron na. And so, yun talaga yung aming goal. And so, may isa kaming winner. May isang winner dun sa aming screening. And this was from the lab of Dr. Ernilea Cao. It's an extremophile kasi nanggaling siya sa Mogpog River. Ito yung sa Marinduque na naging victim ng copper mining. So, hindi pristine yung pinanggalingan niya. Mataas ang amount ng heavy metal. No? And so, una muna, may na-purify kami sa kanya na isang peptide na merong potential to bind metals. Okay? So, na-purify namin siya using the traditional approach na HPLC. Repeated purification using column chromatography, HPLC, and then finally NMR. And na-identify siya. And then the group of Dr. Cao, sila naman did the whole genome sequencing of the cyanobacteria. And then when we looked at the genome, kasi sa genome, di ba, parang wala ka nang maitatago sa kanya. Nandun na lahat. Ano ba yung potential mo? Hindi lang, ano ba yung magagawa mo? Pero, ano ba yung potential mo din? Ano yung, meron ka bang sikretong tinatago dyan? Baka naman meron ka pang ibang pinoproduce na compounds. Makikita yon sa genome. So, when they did the genome information, we looked at it, and true enough, aside from the one peptide that we purified by HPLC, nakita namin na meron din pala siyang iba pang klase ng peptide na pwedeng ginagawa. Pero hindi namin yun nakikita when we grow the cyanobacteria and then purify it. Bakit kaya? Kasi pwedeng naka-off yung mechanism to produce that. Kapag nasa genome kasi yung information, pwedeng mangyari, pwedeng hindi mangyari, depending sa condition. Para siyang may switch na on-off ba ang production or hindi. So, in our case, isang type ng peptide lang nakita namin from the extract. So, siya yung nagtuloy-tuloy mula sa genome hanggang naging metabolite siya. So, dun pala sa genome niya, meron pang iba. So, naisip namin, bakit kaya hindi natin to gawing template? Or, gawin lang natin siyang kawangis ng isang model para makagawa tayo ng ibang types of molecules. And at the same time, nung kinumpara namin yung predicted na product ng genome, from the genome sequencing, mukha talaga siyang cyanobacteria product kasi may mga kahawig siya na ibang mga molecules galing din sa cyanobacteria. Diba? So, parang kayo, pag magkakapamilya kayo, magkakamag-anak kayo, more or less, meron kayong similarity ng physical appearance. Ganun din sa mga molecules, if galing sila sa isang klase ng organismo, meron din pagkakahawig yung kanilang mga ginagawang mga molecules. So, yun yung naging motivation to start this research?
Curious po pala ako dyan, ma'am, kasi di ba, sabi nyo kanina yung ginagawa nyo, gagawa ng laboratory version yung mga natural na molecules na to. Paano nyo nalalaman ano exactly sa part nung genome na yun yung i-replicate nyo at paano nyo pinaplano na ito yung process para ma-replicate yung specific na molecule na to?
Actually, sa ginawa namin dito, hindi talaga siya yung katulad noong or nung nandoon sa genome. Kasi nga, ano nga ba yung potential niyang magagawa? You're making a prediction eh. Kasi, 'di ba? Pag meron siyang from the genome, meron kang pwedeng amino acid. Ito na. Yung amino acid na pwede niyang gawin. Pero, yung amino acid na yun, eventually, pwede pa siyang magkaroon ng mga modification. Pwede maiba pa yung itsura ng amino acid na yun. Kaya, ang ginawa namin, gumawa kami ng hindi lang isa, pero a series of these compounds. Kasi nga, pinipredict namin based on what we know doon sa mga amino acid. Ano ba yung potential nilang maging change? Okay? For example, may proline. Ang proline, pwede siyang proline lang or pwede din siyang maiba to hydroxyproline. Magkaiba na yon. So, that's one combination. Kung nga rin naman, phenylalanine. Ang phenylalanine, gusto niya, pwede siyang L, pwede din siyang D. Ito yung isomer. So, iba din siyang combination. That's why we ended up with not just one, but a series of molecules. Sino ba yung natural product dito? Or yun ba talagang natural product yung na-design namin? We actually don't know. That's why I always say, it's inspired because we base it on the prediction from the genome, and at the same time based on similarities with other molecules produced by other cyanobacteria.
Ay, dyan po pala na kasi nabanggit nyo po yung word na similarity. Tapos bigla kong naisip na may measure nyo ba yun? Like, yung na-produce nyo, ganito ka percent similar dun sa parang theoretical.
So, meron kang prediction from the genome, and then ima-match natin siya doon. Diba para lang din when you have your Lego blocks. Pag may Lego ka, marami kang blocks. If you put them together, iba-ibang order, you create a different molecule or a different model, 'di ba? With your Lego. Ganun din dito. Ibahin natin yung order. That's one order of amino acids. Number 2, medyo ibahin natin yung isang amino acid. Gawin natin siya dun sa kanyang hydroxylated version. So, that's another form. So, meron din siyang degree of similarity.
May cut-off po ba yun na dapat ganitong percent para masabi nyo na synthesize nyo yung ganitong molecule?
Okay. So, doon in terms of kapareho ba siya nung aming predicted versus kung ano yung nagawa namin, that's actually characterized by mass spec now and NMR. So, we make sure that the identities are really 100% similar based on now characterization method. So, yung prediction from the genome and the what we did, kung alin din yung similar, that's a different avenue. Pero yung ngayon na meron na kaming template na na-design, yun yung kailangan namin makuha na at malaman na ito talaga yung identity niya. And for that, we use different methods. Lagi kong sinasabi sa mga estudyante ko, uy, dapat pag magka-characterize kayo ng molecules, lalo na kung mukha siyang bago, you have to rely on two levels of evidence. One is mass spectrometry, kung saan ito ay tinitimbang mo yung mga molecules at pag binasag mo yung molecule, dapat yung kanilang isang parte ng molecule plus yung isang parte ng molecule ay mabubuo pa rin ng eventually, pag pinagsama mo, ay yun pa rin complete molecule yung makikita mo. And then of course, yung nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, ito naman ay tinitingnan yung mga nuclei, either carbon or proton nuclei, at sila ay complementary. Pwede kasing na hindi sinasabi, totoo yung sinasabi nung isang method, kailangan sila ay mag-match. Pareho sila ng sinasabi. Pag hindi sila nag-match, ibig sabihin, may mali dyan sa structure natin. So, kailangan natin siyang tignan. So, meron siyang ganung level of check and balance para nalalaman namin that's what we predicted from the paper. This is our sequence versus what we produce by chemical synthesis would really match 100%.
Ayun. And then kanina po may nabanggit kayo na dun sa na-synthesize nyo may isang winner for anti-cancer na na property.
Sa ano 'yan? Ito ay yung mga ginagamit ngayon ay galing sa isa pang type ng cyanobacteria. Not from our work, but it was coming from a different person's work. So dito sa aming ginawa, parang we want to expand the chemistry that we get, 'di ba? Kasi nga kung hindi na siya napoproduce ng organism, pero nandoon siya sa genome information, baka naman dahil they're amino acid based molecules, mas madali kasi siyang i-produce in a flask, in a test tube, than, growing your organism ng 10 liters, 50 liters. So, mas madali mag-synthesize. And then, kung maririnig mo din sa mga nag-work sa natural products, ang isa din na limitation ay yung gaano kadaming nakukuha mo na compound or molecule. Minsan, pag maswerte ka, mga 1 milligram. Minsan, 50 micrograms, mga ganon. So,
ganun lang pala siya kaliit.
napakakonte. Depende talaga. Meron naman talagang iba na mas mga pinagpala, mga milligrams. Pero hindi kami dumadami ng mga 20 milligrams. Hindi. So, kung gusto mo ng 20 milligrams, ang pinakamadali at pinakamabilis na paraan ay dumaan sa chemical synthesis. So, ito na yung gagawin mo siya in a flask or test tube. Makakarami ka nun. Pero meron siyang limitation. Kasi hindi lahat madaling synthesize. Mas madaling i-synthesize yung mga galing sa amino acids. Kasi para silang Lego. Pag doktong-doktongin mo sila on a resin, you get your product. Okay? Dun sa iba kasing mga natural products, mas complicated. May ibang mga organic chemists, they utilize their lifetime to design chemical synthesis. So, I think this one, using yung peptide-based molecules, it's more, mas madali for us here in the Philippines. And you also get diversity. Ngayon, bakit ba natin gusto ng chemical diversity? We want chemical diversity because we now want to explore more applications. So, dito sa paper na ito, na test siya for cytotoxicity and antimicrobial. Yun ang aming battery of assays na first line. I would say first line dito sa lab. Lahat ng napupurify namin, whether from natural products or synthetic molecules, kailangan silang itetest sa cytotoxicity at saka si antimicrobial. Ngayon,
Kapag cytotoxicity po, ano po palang ibig sabihin nun?
so pag sa cytotoxicity, ang gusto nating masagot, pinapatay ba niya yung mga cancer cells? Kasi ayaw mo ng cancer cells, 'di ba? Gusto mo ma-eradicate sila. So, you want cytotoxicity with cancer cells but not with your normal cells. Kasi ayaw mo din ng molecule na papatayin niya lahat, pati yung normal cells. So, yun yung isa naming first line assay. Yung isa naman yung antimicrobial activity test. Sa antimicrobial, tinitingnan naman natin, kaya ba nitong patayin yung mga bacteria na pathogenic, kunwari yung Staphylococcus aureus, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, nagkukos sila ng infection. So, gusto mo silang patayin, di ba? So, yun yung aming first line assay sa lab. Dito sa mga cyanobacteria compounds na ito, unfortunately, walang bioactive sa kanila. Hindi nila pinatay ang cancer cells, hindi nila pinatay yung mga bacteria. Pero does that mean that it's the end of the line for them? Hindi. Dahil, ito lang yung aming first line assay. Ito yung meron kami dito. But, eventually, if you have a new assay, they can be tested. And these molecules now are also part of the chemical library. So, naka-archive din sila. Kung baga, walang natatapon kasi lahat tinatago namin. Sorry, pakrat ako. So, it's a matter of time. So, yung student ko, nung ginagawa niya to, medyo na-dishearten siya kasi ay hindi active. Of course, as a student, I understand. Gusto natin active. But you know, a negative result is still a result. Kasi you showed that the lack of activity, no? But it does not mean that it's the end of the life of the molecule. It's just that it's waiting for the correct assay na doon siya magkakaroon ng bioactivity. Maybe we don't have that assay. Maybe not now. Maybe eventually. So, kaya tinatago din namin sila at ginagawa namin silang parte ng chemical library.
Ayun. So siguro recap ko lang po yung na-discuss natin kung tama yung pagkaintindi ko bilang hirap sa chemistry. So nag-synthesize po kayo ng molecules na based sa peptides ng cyanobacteria. Tapos may 6 na molecules kayong na-synthesize. Tapos tinest nyo siya for anti-cancer and antibacterial properties.
Correct.
Pero wala siyang ganong properties.
Oo.
Pero doon din po sa paper, parang may nabanggit kayo na first time such a peptide was made by combining real and predicted cyanobacterial compounds. Ano pong ibig sabihin nun?
So, ibig sabihin nun kasi nga, ang ginawa namin sa kanya ay more or less a model, diba? We modeled it based on what's in the cyanobacteria. And from there, synthesize it. So, walang nag-grow, walang nag-grow ng cyanobacteria. It's really jumping from genome. And now, from the genome information, diretso ka ng chemical synthesis. Kasi kung naka-turn off siya, naka-turn off itong na to, kahit anong gawin natin, hindi natin siya or kailangan natin malaman kung paano ba. Kasi yun din yung, siguro, one step backwards. So, sa biosynthesis ng natural products, para siyang factory line. So, just like in a factory line, pwede siyang na-on or naka-off yung factory line mo. So, kapag siya ay naka-turn off, wala kang molecule na output. Just like in your factory, hindi mo makukuha kung ano yung final product mo, di ba? Now, bakit ba yan naka-off? Kung sa factory, pwedeng, ay, baka sira yung aking makina, or baka wala ba kaming kuryente, or may nawawala akong component doon sa aking assembly line, kaya hindi ko siya magawa. Ganon din sa biosynthesis ng natural products. Pwedeng, kasi naka-culture na ito eh. So, pwedeng hindi na kukopya yung condition sa nature versus dun sa condition na nasa culture flask. So, hindi ka nagkakaroon ng production. Pero yun nga, how do you now try to make new molecules beyond what is expressed by your organism? Then, look at the genome. And from the genome, go directly to the chemical synthesis. Meron din yan itong approach sa, kunwari, sa conopeptides. So, sa conopeptides, tinitingnan din nila yung transcriptome ng cone snail. And from there, diretso siya sa organic synthesis, no? So, hindi mo na kailangan manghuli ng maraming cone snail. Pero, isi-synthesize na lang siya sa lab. So, ang advantage, syempre, mas mataas yung yield mo. And then, at the same time, you don't have to collect your samples and process a lot of them. Diba? Now, anong commonality between the conopeptides and also your cyanobacteria? They're coming from amino acids. And their synthesis is a lot easier. Their synthesis is a lot tractable. Kaya, mas madali siyang ma-produce directly from either the genome or the transcriptome prediction to your flask. Yon.
Medyo na-gets ko na rin sa wakas yung paper. Kasi nung una ko siyang binasa, hirap akong hirap akong intindihin siya. Nagtatanong pa ako kay ChatGPT kung anong ibig sabihin ng mga ganitong terminologies.
And then yun nga, so kasi meron din siyang prediction ng ano ba yung mga potential na decoration na pwedeng ilagay dyan. Diba? Kung ari din, sa iyong factory, diba? If the theme is Christmas, ang decoration niya baka star, 'di ba? Ganon din dito sa sa natural products. O kung isang type of amino acid 'yan, proline. Ito yung meron siyang mas gustong decoration sa kanya. So kami din, yun ang ginagamit naming guide para malaman kung ano ba yung i-design namin. And then, at the same time, after you already got your synthetic product, kailangan pa din na ma-verify ang kanyang identity. Totoo ba ang identity nitong aking nagawa na molecule? And that's where your mass spectrometry and NMR comes in. And dapat sila ay magtutugma ang sinasabi nila. Hindi pwedeng isa lang yung tama, dapat silang dalawa ay magkaayon. Kapag na-characterize na namin siya at na-verify na yung structure, doon na kami magkakaroon ng testing. So, saka siya nag-undergo ng cytotoxicity and antimicrobial assay.
Ayun. So I guess madami na kaming na-discuss ni Ma'am Lil tungkol sa paper na to and also yung general idea ng pag-synthesize ng natural products. For anyone interested na basahin yung paper nila, check nyo lang yung link sa description kasi as always, nakalink naman palagi yung mga featured articles natin dito. So ngayon po ma'am, discuss naman natin siguro yung more on behind the scenes. To do this research, anong klaseng funding yung kinailangan to do it? Magkano at saan siya ginagasto?
Actually, ang sasabihin ko, sa ganitong research, ang kailangan mo ay isang willing na estudyante. Yung estudyante ko, si Janelle Casanova, tinanong ko siya, gusto mo ba talagang mag-chemical synthesis? Opo, ma'am. O, let's go. Kasi, ganun din sa mga chemist, parang mas konti ang mga chemist na gusto ng organic synthesis. Kasi sabi mo nga, 'di ba? Mahirap ang organic
Mm.
chemistry. So mas konti 'yon. So 'yun yung number one. Ang main factor. Ito ay part ng thesis ni Janelle and she was so brave enough to really undertake the synthesis at yun daw talaga yung gusto niya. So ang kailangan talaga sa ganito ay meron kang willing na student to undertake the project. Actually, wala kaming formal na funding for this, but the assays were done through the discovery and development of health products. And then si Janelle got her ASTH RDP scholarship. So meron siyang SRSF grant. So maswerte kami doon. Kasi ang bulk talaga pag sa ganito ay of course, kailangan mo ng manpower. Yun yung bulk ng budget. And then yung mga amino acids, alam mo, nabibili mo siya ng in gram scale. So, pag meron ka na ng isa, paulit-ulit mo na lang siyang gagamitin. So, it will go a long way. Talagang manpower ang kailangan mo.
Gaano po pala katagal yung pag-synthesize ng isang molecule? Inaabot ba yun ng araw, months?
The actual synthesis of the molecule, mabilis lang siya, weeks. Pero yung purification, it will take time. Dahil medyo paulit-ulit mo na i-inject sa HPLC such that you get the final pure product. Kasi isa din yun na kailangan, hindi lang identity, pero yung purity. Kasi 'di ba, ayaw mo nang may ibang component tapos yun pala yung bioactive later on, hindi pala yung na-produce mo. So, kami, we also want to have 95% pure molecule. So, yun yung medyo matagal kasi paulit-ulit na step siya.
Kanina po, nabanggit nyo na yung isang challenge ay nung tinest nyo yung yung cytotoxicity at yung antibacterial property ay wala kayong nakitang ganon. Tapos na discourage yung RA nyo si Janelle. Janelle. Yan. Na discourage siya na i-continue yung research. In addition po with that, ano yung other challenges pa na na-encounter nyo in doing this?
Well, sabi ko sa kanya, alam mo, okay na yan. Mag-defend ka na. Kasi ito yung MS thesis niya. Mag-defend ka na. Kahit na negative siya, syempre, you have to, you have to let go. Hindi pwedeng pipilitin mo pa rin or, you wait a long time kasi it's your MS thesis. 'Di ba? So, yung challenge, syempre limited yung budget namin for the assay. Limited din kung ano yung assay na meron kami dito sa lab. So, isa yun sa limitation. Kahit na gustuhin pa namin na i-test siya sa iba-ibang type ng assay. Kasi mas maraming assays na pwede mong matest yung sample mo, the more chances of you discovering its bioactivity. Diba? So, pero, may limitation din, of course, with the funding, with the assays available here in the Philippines. Kaya yung sinasabi ko din, hindi naman all is lost kasi negative siya. But, maybe later on, we have a different assay or someone here in the university will have a different assay na pwede natin i-test siya. Yon. So talagang funding pa din. For the assays, yun yung isang big limitation.
Yung ganitong research po ba sa drug ano bang tawag doon? Paggawa ng drugs lang yung application niya or may other applications din siya na pwedeng mapuntahan?
Pwede din siya na hindi lang limited sa drugs. For example, pwede din na industrial like yung mga biofouling, di ba? Kung ayaw mo ng mga biofouling sa mga boats, sa boat hulls, di ba? So you can also explore that, or meron ba siyang insecticidal properties. Ngayon, ang dami nating pests, di ba? Meron sa coconut, meron sa sugarcane. So you can also look at the mga insecticidal properties. Yan. So, pwede din na ibang industrial application or veterinary. Ayun, marami tayong mga mga diseases. So, sa fish, sa chickens, 'di ba? So, pwede din siyang maging starting point for discovery of yung potential therapeutics sa animals naman.
Sa Pilipinas po ba, may ano bang tawag doon? May na-discover na marine natural product na parang na mass produce ba yung tamang term for drug use or for yun nga yung nasabi niyo na other purposes or wala pa?
So ngayon, sa discovery and development of health products, meron kaming ginawang isang sponge mariculture setup. Ito yung nasa Puerto Galera. Ang kinulture namin dito ay yung blue sponge na Cestospongia. So yung Cestospongia na yon ay meron siyang anti-cancer molecule. So of course, ayaw mong kolektahin ang lahat ng blue sponge all over the Philippines, 'di ba? So ang aming approach dito ay i-culture siya. Kinukulture yung sponge in its natural environment. But you're actually now planting it so that mas marami kang yung source. So it's one way of, doing the mass production.
So before we let you go po ma'am, may advice po ba kayo sa mga aspiring researchers?
Of course, sa mga aspiring researchers, hindi laging science is not always a straight line. It's not always rosy, 'di ba? Merong challenges, of course, but if you face hurdles in your experiments, breathe, smell the roses first, think about it again, but do your experiments with accuracy, precision, do it with excellence, 'di ba? And do your best, but don't give up. It's not always a smooth sailing in science, but there's challenges and you just have to really work hard and master your techniques. Yun yung pinaka-importante. Master your techniques talaga. And do well with your experiments. And always be guided by honor and excellence. And of course, now, ang kadokto niyan, public service, science for the people.
And then, siguro ulitin ko lang yung sinabi ni ma'am kanina na yung negative result is still a result. Kasi yung episode natin last week ba yun? Yung kay Dr. JB Pascual, yung naging research niya naman ay kung tiningnan niya kung may effect yung mainit na panahon sa brain aneurysm. So, na-observe nila during the dry season, dumadami yung admissions dun sa PGH. Pero kapag statistics mo, walang significant na difference. So, negative result is still a result at worthy pa rin yun i-publish.
Yes, a negative result is still a result as long as you do your experiments well. Diba? Kasi kung hindi mo siya ginawa, tapos negative pala siya, and you didn't publish it, people will keep on doing it and trying it. So we will be wasting resources. So don't be disheartened by a negative result. I mean, you're still contributing knowledge. The goal of science is to contribute knowledge, and a negative result is not less than a positive result. You're still contributing new knowledge in the field.
Ayun. And last question po, do you have anything to promote?
So, if you want to know more about our work, you can find us on Facebook, Marine Pharmacognosy Lab, and we also have our lab web page, laserlab.com. And then, I want to give a shout out also to my students, yung aking first batch of graduate students. They all graduated na, one generation of scientists. I'm so proud of them. So, yes,
Congrats po.
10 years worth of work. Sasabihin ko, kaya one generation eh. So, I'm very happy. They're all done this academic year. So, on to the next batch of graduate students, on to the next batch of new scientists.
Ayun. So kung sa mga students, mga RAs na naghanap ng advisor, hanapin niyo si Ma'am Lil. Nandun naman yung email sa sa paper. So check na lang yung mga papers diyan. So ayun, I guess hanggang dito na lang muna tayo. Maraming salamat po Ma'am Lil sa pagpapaunlak ng aming invitation.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Sa ulitin.
Yes po. Maraming salamat din sa lahat ng nakinig at nanood. See you everyone next week. Madami pa tayong pag-uusapan na research na ginagawa ng ating mga Pinoy scientists.